atop the world headquarters of Southeastern Fly. This is the Southeastern Fly podcast. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to share this with your friends and your fishing partners. Hit the like, click the follow, and sign up for the Southeastern Fly newsletter to get a jump on upcoming events and episodes. It's available wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. Before I forget, because I'm prone to forget, in 2026, we plan to continue the podcast doing one long form interview at the first of the month and one skill building episode every month as well. So still continuing to do 2 episodes, still going to take December 2026 off because that is the way that we've been doing things here. That is our tradition. There's some fly tying events sprinkled here and there for me. There's more open dates to fish with me on the Caney, the Elk, and the Collins River. Yes, we've already caught fish in 2026, and we've caught some nice ones already, and we're planning to keep doing that. This is probably the most important part. If there's an episode that you enjoy, feel free to give us a positive review wherever you consume your podcast. That actually, people look at those reviews just to kind of find out what's going on a lot of times before they listen. And I think that, hearing from people that actually consume these podcasts, these episodes, thank the Lord for you. I think hearing from y'all kind of helps people determine whether or not they're going to listen to a podcast or an episode. So, yeah, if you could do that, David would appreciate it. I'd really appreciate it. I want to talk about what's the best seat on the river, and I'm going to approach this from a couple different angles. I've been thinking about this, gosh, since fall. I guess probably since August, actually, so late summer. I want to ask you a question in your mind. What do you think is the best seat on the river? Not standing, I mean the best seat. So is it sitting on the bank, observing and watching what's going on? It could be. For me, sometimes it is. Is it warming up in the truck in the winter? A lot of times it is. Is it cooling off and sitting on the edge of the river on a gravel bar or a rock or something with your feet in the river and during the hot summertime? Can be for sure. Is it sitting on the bank, maybe eating a lunch that you packed in your backpack or that somebody's on a trip and they've given you, or just a sandwich that you brought along? We do like to eat. So what's the best seat on the river? I'm going to say this, all those are great seats. It's a great place to be. We all want to be there right now if we're not. But instead, we're listening to a podcast about fishing and about the river. I've seen a lot of folks come on the drift boat over the years, met a lot of great people. More and more, I'm thankful for each of them in their own unique ways. Have made some really good friendships over the years and some lasting friendships. I've become great friends with some folks. Some folks I look up to more than probably they'll ever know or I'll ever even want to admit. I've seen some changes in some of the folks. Nothing bad, most of it good. Some of the changes I've seen is most of them have improved their skills over the years. That are the people that come back over and over and over, year in, year out. I see a lot of the same people, and they're getting better and better. I've also noticed that a lot of them and myself are getting older. In my little corner of the world, I guess the best seat on the river is the front seat of a drift boat. It doesn't have to be mine, but the front seat of a drift boat's a great place to be. And I've seen some changes in the seating arrangements over the years. In some cases I have, some cases I have. But I want to talk about the ones that I have. Some folks have started in the front seat and given it up. So they start there only to offer it to somebody else sometimes. Sometimes. Eventually they end up back up there. So in that case, I'm talking about the person that comes and they bring a friend to start out or whatever. The friend generally is going to get the front seat. Some, though, have swapped their rear seat for the front seat. And those who swap the rear for the front are the ones I want to really focus on today because we all change. And I'm going to do a little bit of something here. I'm going to tell you about a father and son, and we'll name them Ron and Josh. Okay, Ron's the dad, and Josh is the son. That's not their real names. I can't think of a Ron and Josh that I fish with. So that's why I came up with that. But Ron's the dad. He's a little more seasoned angler, and Josh is when they started it was fairly early in his fly fishing. But Ron had been around quite a while. He has a great cast. Just a cool guy to spend the day with. But Josh has always had that front seat and the front brace there, so the front brace is a great place to be if you're standing there. And it was kind of a given. Ron would park himself in the back seat back there and he would say, I've got more room. I want to sit back here. And I've heard that before. And I kind of know what that means. It's like, hey, I want to give up the front seat for somebody, to get better. And then we can fish together more is hopefully the thing. But Josh is pretty good, but Ron's just a little bit better. And they fished with me for years. And Ron's definitely gotten older. He was a little older than I am now. When we first started, that was probably 15 years ago. And Josh has always had the best seat. He's always sat up front in that chair, sitting on the cooler, standing up in that front brace. And that front brace means a lot to an angler because you get 180 degrees of prime water. You get your fly to the fish before the boat ever gets into the picture. So it's a great place to be. Both of them have caught fish with me. And both have found ways to improve, not just because they're on my boat, just because they're dedicated to their craft. But most of all, they've always enjoyed themselves, and which in turn helps me to enjoy myself. Josh in the front, Ron in the back, me in the middle, listen to their stories. They've listened to my stories probably over and over and over that I forget that I've told. But not too long ago, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm talking about a year or two or three ago. Wasn't too long. I kind of started seeing a change, and it was subtle. They showed up at their appointed time, and Josh all of a sudden said, Dad, you take the front seat. Well, that really caught me off guard. It didn't seem like an order, and it didn't seem like an offer like it had been before. Like an offer, hey, do you want the front seat? It was, Dad, take the front seat. More of a statement, which was interesting. And Ron argued, of course, and I stayed out of it because I tend to say, hey, just make up your minds and let me know who's going where, and I'll put your rods there and we'll be off. But Josh insisted. So Ron took the front seat. He griped and grumbled probably for a good half hour. He finally settled down then and started to focus, and he was catching fish. Ron was catching fish, and Josh was catching fish from the back of the boat now, which was totally weird to me because it'd been the opposite for so long. But we finished that trip. We had a great day. The fish cooperated. We were all happy. I think Ron was happy because he got shots at fish that normally he didn't get. But anyway, next time they came, Josh said, "Hey, Dad, take the front seat." Said the same time. It's almost like a repeat of the first time that he had said it. And of course, Ron started his grumbling. I was like, "All right, we're going to be here a minute." While Ron keeps grumbling. But he finally relented. He finally said, okay, I'll take the front. And did the whole, well, at lunch we'll swap, or halfway we'll swap, or we can swap when we get out to a certain point on the river. But anyway, Josh said, Dad, take the front seat. And about an hour into the trip, Ron just says, I should have done this years ago. This is the best seat on the river. And of course, I agree with him. Yep, I totally agree, Ron. It is the best seat on the river. So anyway, flash forward year and a half or so. Ron is getting older now. They still schedule trips, but health hasn't always allowed Ron to come on some of them. But Josh still tries to get his dad out. Sometimes it just isn't best that he leave the house. So Josh is now pretty cool, bringing his son, Jackson. Jackson's kind of in his early 20s. Already he's a good stick, and he had learned some things from Ron. He had learned some things from Josh, and hopefully he's learned a little bit from me. But Jackson always gets the front seat, and he's a good dude. He's in his early 20s. And for those of you who are like, oh, God, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and on the news they said this, on social medias they said that. Let me tell you, there's hope for the world with people like this kid, and a lot of other people that have been on the boat as well, that are young. It's not all as bad as what people want to make the world out to be. So anyway, Jackson gets the front seat. Josh takes the rear seat. They take a lot of pictures, and I take a lot of pictures. And it's not just of them holding fish and big fish. It's of eagles and otters and muskrats and beavers and heron and all that stuff. And they talk about Ron. They take those pictures, send those pictures back to Ron. Sometimes just to get him riled up a little bit, but also I hear, oh man, I bet he would enjoy this, and I wish he was here to do it. And Ron caught a fish right over there. Dad caught a fish right over there, and it was, you remember that one? You know what I'm talking about? Just recounting those stuff. And I'll fish with Ron again. I'm not saying that he's done or anything like that. I'm just saying that time seems to take over, maybe. So I don't know. I mean, having that front seat on the boat, it really is nice, and I love it. And I usually say it's the best seat on the river, but sometimes that back seat is a good place to be too. And so was sitting on the bank, and so was warming up on the truck on a really cold day, cooling off, sitting on the edge of the river on a really hot day with your legs in the water, sitting on the bank. Like I said, we all love to eat, but the best seat could be the back seat of a drift boat. Anyway, you just listened to the best seat on the river on Southeastern Fly. See you next time.